All right. Well, thank you everyone for all of you who tuned in for the last panel. For those of you who just are now joining us, my name is Andre Serrano. I am the head of product at Bitcoin L2 Labs. We are a core development company in the Stacks ecosystem working on the Stacks blockchain. And we're also building SBTC, which is a way to use Bitcoin in DeFi and smart contracts. And today, I'll be talking about Bitcoin's DeFi opportunity. And in case you've missed it, Bitcoin has been having a moment. Okay, nation states and institutions are adopting Bitcoin at a record pace, and we're on the path towards hyper Bitcoinization. And along that path, Bitcoin is going to have a massive opportunity to unlock BTC in DeFi and smart contracts. And today, we're going to be talking about what this means, why it matters, and how you can participate in this opportunity. So I'm going to start out by talking about something that likely many of you all know, but is rarely made explicit, which is that Bitcoin is the most valuable asset that you will ever own. It is the most secure, the most liquid. It has been battle tested over the last 15 years. And it's provably scarce. You know that it is hard to confiscate or devalue Bitcoin. And yet, billions in BTC are left untapped by its users. Bitcoin is still sitting in cold storage. As of today, there's about $30 billion worth of Bitcoin that is sitting on layer 2 networks, side systems, and other Bitcoin wrapped assets that sits at just about over 1% of the total supply of Bitcoin. Today, we're going to be talking about how do we activate the other 99% of the Bitcoin supply so that we can actually move Bitcoin on chain and make it a productive asset that is powering the Bitcoin economy in more productive use cases. I think the key question is, how do we do that? And I've spoken to a lot of Bitcoiners over the years, and I think the message is clear. Bitcoin holders want to do more with their Bitcoin. And from these conversations, these are a few things that I've learned about what Bitcoiners want to do with their Bitcoin. First is yield generation. The ability to earn yield on your Bitcoin will allow Bitcoin holders to compound their holdings. For example, let's say you hold 10 BTC at a 5% growth rate. Over 10 years, that Bitcoin will grow to 16.3 Bitcoin, offering new opportunities for Bitcoin holders to earn BTC and compound their holdings over time. Bitcoin yield generation is the first killer use case for Bitcoin DeFi. The second is Bitcoin lending. Bitcoin lending is an incredibly popular use case with so many Bitcoiners because you want the ability to borrow against your assets. Bitcoin is pristine collateral, and being able to participate in borrowing and lending means that Bitcoin holders will be able to access fiat, to go to purchase property, to fund their day-to-day expenses, or go leverage long in the space if they want to, all without incurring a taxable event or going through a centralized intermediary. Next is trading Bitcoin in decentralized exchanges. Today, it is still way too difficult to swap between Bitcoin and stablecoins. So if you've ever tried to just swap between Bitcoin or in USDC or USDT, it's such a difficult experience. And so the protocols or apps that are able to unlock a better user experience for Bitcoin and decentralized exchanges have a massive opportunity to be able to capture a lot of the value that's created there. And lastly is self-custody. So Bitcoiners do not want to incur additional trust assumptions when they're using their Bitcoin in DeFi. I think a lot of people have been around long enough to see what happened to BlockFi and Celsius and Mt. Gox and other Bitcoin lending facilities. And so the key for Bitcoin DeFi is the ability to unlock a trust minimized way to put your Bitcoin into work in DeFi. Now, introducing SBTC. SBTC unlocks Bitcoin, allowing users access to earned yield access on-chain lending and borrowing and trade on decentralized exchanges, ultimately enabling Bitcoin to be used in DeFi and smart contracts. It works through a threshold network of signers that secure the Bitcoin and facilitate movement in and out of the Stacks blockchain. And as of yesterday, SBDC has surpassed over $250 million in total value locked. With SBDC and the recent Nakamoto upgrade, it has unlocked a new era for the Stacks Bitcoin L2. Here's what it means. First is we've seen incredible user experience improvements where on average block times on the Stacks network have dropped from around 10 minutes to around 10 seconds. We're also seeing improvements in the security budget. So Stacks transactions ultimately inherit economic finality and security from the Bitcoin base chain. And so SBDC becomes the faster, cheaper way that you can use your Bitcoin on chain to unlock this productive economy. So why programmable Bitcoin? Why SBDC? First is Bitcoin native. So SBDC leverages Stacks' proof of transfer consensus mechanism to offer Bitcoin holders access to real Bitcoin yield. Through the proof of transfer consensus mechanism, this is, I think, one of the most compelling differentiators of Stacks is that you're actually earning Bitcoin when you participate with SBDC. Next is Bitcoin security. So SBDC is secured by the Stacks decentralized network of validators through its consensus mechanism. And as I mentioned, it also is inheriting 100% of Bitcoin's economic finality guarantees. And when you look at the current landscape of tokenized Bitcoin assets, it's clear that SBDC sets itself apart when compared to alternatives like Wrapped Bitcoin or CBBTC that still rely on centralized custodians that have unnecessary counterparty risk. And so SBDC improves on this model by relying on a decentralized network of validators who are ultimately responsible for processing the flow of Bitcoin into and out of the system. It's also the only permissionless model on this slide, whereas others require merchants and operators to actually mint the tokenized asset. SBDC enables anyone to participate in DeFi. And so here's how you can get involved. Here are the next steps. First is you can start by bridging BTC into SBTC. So this works by creating a transaction on Bitcoin and depositing into the SBDC protocol. Once the SBDC validators detect that transaction's occurred, they mint SBDC at a one-to-one basis on the Stacks layer. So SBDC is always backed one-to-one with Bitcoin. As I mentioned yesterday, we launched the next deposit cap for SBDC, allowing another 2,000 Bitcoin for a total of 3,000 to flow into the protocol. Next is to actually start earning SBDC. So with SBDC, you can earn up to 5% on your Bitcoin holdings. You can go to bitcoinismore.org to learn about the rewards program and how to start taking advantage of these opportunities. And lastly, start participating in DeFi. And so the vision, like the whole reason why we're doing all of this is to make Bitcoin a productive asset because of all of its unique value properties that we talked about earlier on. And so with SBDC, you can actually deploy it into a wide ecosystem of applications that are working on these sorts of productive use cases. So with SBDC, you can earn SBTC rewards. This model is Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out, we like to say. So it's very simple. There are no point systems involved, no additional tokens. And it works by leveraging Stacks' proof of transfer consensus mechanism, which yields Bitcoin natively at the consensus layer when Stacks miners create new blocks. And so by taking advantage of that unique capability of the Stacks network, we're able to offer additional Bitcoin rewards for SBDC users. As of today, over the trailing past 2 months, that yield has been around 5%. There's also the ability to earn extra incentives when participating. So typically what users are doing with this is they're taking their Bitcoin, they're deploying it on lending protocols, on decentralized exchanges, and able to take advantage of other additional incentives that these protocols are able to capture for their holders. So Stacks is a growing ecosystem. There's 20 plus applications that span decentralized exchanges, lending protocols, perp dexes, and many more. Lastly, I want to talk to you briefly about one of the protocols that I'm really excited about. It's called Granite. Granite is the first truly non-custodial decentralized Bitcoin lending protocol. Let's talk a little bit about what that means. So first of all, Granite improves over the traditional lending models in that its design is truly non-custodial and decentralized. So there's no rehypothecation when you're lending on Granite, and all the debt is collateralized by Bitcoin via SBDC on Stacks. There's also flexible payment schedules, which means that it essentially works as a line of credit that allows you to access fiat for whatever your needs may be. Here are some of the other benefits that I think really set Granite apart. So I mentioned no rehypothecation, so it's different. That's an improvement over like traditional money markets like Aave, where all of the collateral is essentially commingled into one single pool. When you're actually borrowing on Granite, your collateral stays in your custody, and relies on isolated markets to facilitate that. Another feature that I really like, that I think is going to be really key for many Bitcoiners, is an improvement to the liquidation engine. So when you're using Granite, they have a feature known as soft liquidations, meaning that typically when you're using a lending protocol, let's say Aave, if your loan drops below your liquidation price, they have the ability to liquidate up to 100% of your collateral. Granite has implemented a new model known as soft liquidations. So they would only liquidate the amount necessary to basically top up your loan to make sure that the debt is in good standing. I think this feature is going to be well received by a lot of Bitcoin holders who don't want to risk losing all of their Bitcoin when they're participating in DeFi. And that's my talk. If you want to learn more, you can follow me on X, or head on over to bitcoinismore.org to learn how to earn more on your Bitcoin. Thank you.